All right, we're just a couple hours away from the full moon in Virgo, which is trining off with Pluto. And I know everybody likes to think that trines are really good and squares and oppositions are bad, but in mundane astrology, means something a little different. Trines are unrestricted energy. So we can expect to wake up to some news from the early hours of the 18th. Hopefully you'll be asleep. Now, there has been a sleep study by the University of Washington surrounding full moons, and it appears that a lot of people will find themselves having a sleepless night during a full moon. They think it's an evolutionary thing. Hey guys, welcome, welcome. I don't know. I'm feeling pretty tired, so I think it just depends on where that moon is hitting in your chart. It's a bit of a calibration. It's a bit of an illumination, truly, because we've had the moon going through Virgo the last couple of days, and it's been in opposition to those planets in Pisces, and it's been bringing things to the surface, revealing the details that might have been obfuscated. Anything that's been a little hazy has been coming to light. We've been seeing things that, maybe needed some clarity, or we had to come to clarity in ourselves. A lot of people have been feeling tired as they've been letting go. And that's one way. Like when we get really tired and we rest, gives our body a chance to heal up. And remember, as much as everybody gives Virgo a hard time about being nitpicky, etc., it's actually the healer. Okay. Virgo energy is highly perceptive. Okay. Brilliant, like eagle eye, master planner energy. Okay. But they can see everything so clearly. As much as Pisces can be foggy, Virgo is the other side of that. And it's such clarity. And they'll be like, hey, you need to do this thing. And it might be, you're like 5 years away from being ready for seeing it. They might get frustrated with you. It isn't that they're critical of you because they don't think you're worthy. They're critical only if they care. Okay, if a Virgo doesn't think you have a chance of making it, they're just going to not even say a word. Okay, so there we go. Where's my dog? He just drank some water and went to lay down. So he'll show up probably like once I start eating or something. But yeah, he's had a long day of barking at children and other dogs. So, and being cute and interrupting my readings by laying on top of me. He's been very cuddly, more so than normal. So like he just completely hosed in on a session today, laid across my chest, and I had to hold my laptop out. But yeah, so yeah. Yeah, Virgo is the healer. Honestly, I'll say Virgo has true compassion because they can have compassion for people that they have no resonance with, none, whereas with Pisces energy, you're usually resonating in a similar area. So like a lot of times when people are like, I can feel other people's pain, you're feeling your pain through the lens of other people. Virgo doesn't have to feel other people's pain to have compassion. Likewise, they'll let somebody fall on their ass too if that's exactly what they need to learn. They're not going to insert themselves in it in general, unless they really, really care. Then if it's somebody really, really close to them. But in a mundane sense, like when we're looking at this full moon, this is mundane energy. How that mundane energy kind of falls in your chart makes it personal to you, okay? But the mundane energy is bringing things to light, clarifying energy. So I think we'll get some very interesting headlines when it comes to, what's actually going on in certain places. I think we're going to find out a lot more about political intrigue. I think there's going to be, we're in for a very interesting weekend. Let's put it this way, because, again, this full moon is happening at right around 28 degrees. And so then there's another 4 hours of the moon in Virgo, and then it ingresses into Libra. And so most of our Friday will have, if you're in the States, you'll have the moon in Libra, and then it stays moon in Libra on Saturday. And then around 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, the sun ingresses into Aries. Okay, so March 20th this year, the sun ingresses into Aries. There was some confusion on my video about that because I had people going, wait a minute, I was born on the 20th and I'm a Pisces. Yeah. Anybody born before 8 a.m. Pacific on Sunday the 20th is going to be a Pisces too. Okay. Our calendars are completely arbitrary and made up. Just kind of like the zodiac signs names and are made up. There's certain things that are made up and there's certain things that are just there. So like we know through observation of where the sun is at in an angular level that, you know, this is the equinox. Okay. We know at the solstice. Okay. So equinox means you have equal day, equal night. Solstice, you'll have either the lightest day or the darkest day. And so the vernal equinox is our actual astrological new year. Okay. So anytime people get really excited about date numbers, okay, you have to remember we haven't been using this calendar all this long. I put an article in the Discord for the Awake Space about the Gregorian calendar so you understand its history and why we use it. It's more like we know it's not accurate. It drives scientists nuts because it's inaccurate, but it's what we've got on all of our systems around the world use it. So we just kind of go like, okay, that's what we've got. So getting excited about synchronicities and dates and stuff is fun, but it's not exactly accurate. So there we go. Yeah. Well, it's time to let go of stuff. You know, what messes us up with this energy is trying to hang on, you know, and letting go is hard for earth signs. It really is. But it's letting go of what isn't working, whether it's the attitudes about ourselves, you know, those are the ones that are the hardest, to be honest. It's honestly, it gets to a certain pain point. It's not that hard to let go of people, right? It gets bad enough. It's easier to let go. But what about ourselves? What do we think about ourselves, right? What do we need to change there and how we feel about ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, how we treat ourselves. So yeah, it's your marriage. So what do you believe about being married? What do you believe about your value as a woman and being a wife? What do you believe about, like, I know, like, when I went to leave my second marriage, it was a really agonizing decision because I had to unpack my own social cultural beliefs around that. And it wasn't like I hadn't spent a lifetime intellectualizing that, right? But when it came down to it, I had to find all the programming, like, what does it mean to be that woman who's now going to leave a second marriage? You know, I'm that woman. Yeah, that woman who chooses healthy and safe environments. But, you know, what did it mean to not be coupled? Our identity is so often tied into being married. And then if it's a long-term marriage, you know, that's what you know. You're used to being part of a couple, whether it's functional or dysfunctional. And it doesn't really matter who you're married to or who you're coupled with, whether it's in a traditional relationship or something a little more modern, right? That idea of needing partnership, it's been sold to us really, really hard about who we are and what our value is. And I'm not telling you to make any particular decision. I'm just talking about what I went through in that process. And so getting into the details about who are you? You know, what kind of person are you in that? What does it mean to make any of those decisions, to stay, to leave, to let the status quo be, all of that. So yeah, your second marriage, 15 years. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I was in mine for 16. Yeah, and it wasn't great. It was a reaction to the first marriage. Yeah. You know, the first one was passionate and destructive in a totally another way. One of us was going to get hurt and it wasn't going to be me, and I jumped with the kids. The second marriage was safe, but it wasn't. It wasn't emotionally safe. It wasn't financially safe. The only thing I would say that was good about it is it gave me time to kind of be cooped up enough to study all the metaphysics I studied so I could teach you guys. And you know, become who I am now. And that was because I had to really just isolate myself and be very interior and introspective. So I get it. I know it's hard. So yeah. Oh, you're wearing the same shirt? Woo! Gotta love Target. I got mine on the clearance rack at Target. It was like the last one. It was like $10. I was like, score. I love a good deal. So yeah. Right, being isolated, forgotten, not talked to. It's just like a marriage of convenience, right? There's nothing really there except it's like being roommates. Yeah, except roommates that never ever talk. Yeah, I get it. I've been there, you know, and they're not bad people, right? You know, wait till you get out of it. The only thing I would say is because the moon is in Virgo is you want to make a plan. Yeah, make a plan. This is the energy to make plans and to let go of any criticism of yourself. Because again, there's a whole lot of messaging, you know, and we're seeing the toxicity of our society's attitudes towards women and all that legislation that's going around in those super conservative states. That is the extreme lens of it. But widen that out, dilute it down, and all of us have it. Even in the progressive sphere, even in the what was I going to say, the liberal sphere, even in, you know, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. You know, I hear so often people saying, well, I don't want to identify as a feminist because, you know, we're not perfect, we're never there. I'm like, just fucking identify as a feminist, for God's sake. That's the problem is, oh, well, I don't want people to think I'm a man hater. You can be a feminist and not hate men. You know, that's just the messaging, that nitpickiness. We need to let go of being nitpicky and just kind of stand up. We've got Pluto in the last 2 degrees of Capricorn. The next couple of years are going to be very, very intense because we have never, as humans, experienced Pluto in Capricorn ever before. Okay, you have to remember that Pluto did not come to our awareness until 1930. Okay, that's when we were able to finally see it with telescopes. Okay, so it's subconscious energy to start with. If it wasn't in our consciousness before, it wasn't even subconscious for humans. It wasn't in play until 1930. Okay, so we've never seen this energy. Okay, patriarchy ain't gonna take itself down on its own. Okay, you know. They're really afraid of women. Make them know why they should be. Did I say that? Oh, did that come out of my mouth? Oh, it did. Can you see? Can you feel the Scorpio rising? Can you feel it? It's like, are you afraid? Let me show you why. Yeah. Because we're watching ourselves get legislated into property. You know, look at that Idaho bill. Look at that Idaho bill. Look at what's going on in other conservative states. You know, eventually that pervades elsewhere. That's not going to just stay in those areas. You know, look at what they're doing to the LGBTQIA community. Look at what they've been doing to other marginalized communities. Okay? Yeah. Well, but it's not going to burn on its own. You know, it's not going to burn on its own. You can't just sit back and make TikToks, you know, or just talk about it. You know, it takes getting involved in local office. It takes running for offices. My hope is to inspire a lot of young people. I'll train whoever wants to go, you know, and vote down ballot. You know, there's a bunch of candidates running against people like, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Bobart. There's people on TikTok. I share, if you follow me, and I think it goes to mutuals, but I think it also, anybody who follows me, I think can see it. I share like the little yellow button. Whenever I see people, like, I don't care if they're drooling at this point. If they're running against those people, just vote the people out. You can always vote the next ones out. And I've been saying this for like 30 years. If you just voted everybody out for 3 election cycles, yeah, you know, we have it cleared. And what does this have to do with astrology? Fucking everything. You know, Pluto's in Capricorn. And that is dealing with patriarchy, patriarchal structures, government structures, authoritarianism at the uglier levels, okay? And then it's also the flip side of any of the gains we've made since Pluto was in Cancer in the 30s. And that was actually in the 30s. the women's movement, the 20s and 30s, women's movement made huge strides, huge strides. And that's what propelled things forward through, you know, the 40s. Of course, the war helped because women were participating, and then the 50s, the 60s. All of that, that's why they're trying to repeal it. We're on the flip side. All of the social stuff has been being undone since really it was the end of Pluto and Libra, early Pluto and Scorpio, when they were undoing all of this stuff. And so that's why it's waking up the people from the Pluto and Libra generation, the Pluto and Scorpio generation, and Pluto and Sag has always been kind of awake. And so, you know, I've watched a lot of this happen in my lifetime. I've yelled about it too. I was always politically active, even when I was a kid. You know, I just, what can I say? Sag Mars. But yeah. Yeah, Pluto and Cap with a midlife crisis. Oh yeah, absolutely. Try it being a Cancerian. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't even a midlife crisis. It was just a live or die this way, and I wasn't going to live much longer if I stayed. I was having chest pains, and I didn't have chest pains when I would take my daughter to LA, and I was like, this seems to be situational. And so if I don't leave, I'm going to croak. And I was like, you know what? I finally have a life. Like, I enjoy myself and my body. I enjoy myself on this planet. I'm not ready to croak yet. I want to get the most out of this experience. I worked really hard to heal, right? So there you go. Oh, you've got a Cancer Venus. So see, there you go. You're coming into yourself, and you're letting, I normally don't talk about personal placements, but I hear you know, I see that there's this crisis building, and that's part of what this energy is you're having to, like, it's got to purge out. You've got to feel the feelings. You got to let things go. And there you go. California's good vibes all around. Well, in a lot of ways, it's actually, you know, where I was born is like my Saturn line. So it's not the best place and the most fun to be. So it's a lot more fun down here for me, astrologically. Astrocartography wise, this is a much better place. And the sunshine. I could not take one more gloomy day. It was like forever gloomy and never raining. It was a lot like Narnia, except without snow. And when it did snow, it was like that too. Except no Turkish delight, no Mr. Tumnus to have tea with. So what was the point? I was like, if I would have gotten to have tea with Mr. Tumnus, it would have been okay. I'm really serious. I think when I die, I'll see a lamp post, and I will be like, Mr. Tumnus is here, and I can have tea, and then I'll get to be there. But the White Witch won't be there. Nope. I've made that decision. So, and by the way, this is how little of candy I eat. I have these left over from Christmas. And they're still good. I needed some sugar. Well, I just felt like it tonight. Yeah, so this full moon in Virgo, it's a very powerful full moon, and it's about completions. I know all full moons are about completions, but this one is really about completions because it is trine Pluto. And so it's a really good night. Like, before you go to bed, write down the things that you want to have in the place of the things you're letting go. Don't focus on what you're letting go of. Focus on what you want to receive. Okay? So if you're tired of feeling anxious, write down, I'm ready to feel at ease in myself. You know, if you've been saying, oh my God, it feels like I can't breathe, write down, I love how it feels to be able to breathe easy. Okay? You want to focus on what you're bringing in, not what you're releasing. What you're releasing will release. Okay? You got a lot of help. That's what this trine is between the full moon and Pluto. You don't need to work hard at releasing. Okay? Let it go. But just write down before you go to bed what's coming in its place, because nature hates a vacuum. Well, it'll just fill it right back up. Yeah. How I know when it went right exact? Well, yeah, because I have software. Yeah. But it's not exact yet. You mean the things you want to release or the things you want to have if you're writing it down? You don't have to burn the things you want to receive. I don't think you have to wait until 2 a.m. unless you want to. If you feel compelled and that's part of your process, go for it. Yeah, I guess you can burn those if it makes you feel better. I used to do that stuff when I was younger. I don't really even write it down anymore. I focus more about what I want to bring in, because you don't really need to do a whole lot with this moon to make it release. There's not a whole lot of effort necessary. So if you want to stay up till 2 a.m. and it's part of your process, have at it. But it's not necessary, you know. You feel a need to let go of the need to be understood. Well, then it's I understand myself. Yeah. I understand me. You know, when we understand ourselves, we don't need anybody to understand us. You know. It is hard, but you don't have to make it be hard forever. You know, the more we empower how hard it is, the harder it gets. It's just like, you know, when you burn your thumb or something, like if you're cooking and you're like, ow, ow, ow. And the more you say, ow, 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 the more it hurts. Get it under the cold running water and focus on the healing. This is healing energy. Focus on the healing. And sometimes healing hurts a little bit while we're going through it. Not gonna lie, I've been through it. I know how hard these things can be. Don't think I'm diminishing you at all, but I want to empower your wellness and your healing, and I know you can do it. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna put my attention to, because where we put our attention is where the energy flows, right? So I want to empower you. I want you to find your own power. I want you to know that even though it hurts, you can move through this, right? So yeah, exactly. So I don't talk about personal placements in my live streams. But I will say the 8th and 12th house are often talked about poorly. The 8th house is about transformation and power, okay? It isn't death per se, it's grief. And we only grieve, oh, you don't need to be sorry, I'm just letting you know. I'll talk a little bit about the houses themselves. I have an astro guide in my link in my bio, but I'll give you a little bit about that. So we only grieve to the depths of our love, okay? The 12th house is our connection or disconnection from the all that is. Both the 8th and the 12th house are very intuitive spaces. The 8th house is a little more earthly intuition. The 12th house is a more ethereal intuition. It's how we connect or don't connect to our guides, you know. It is a very, it's an incubation space. You know, a lot of times people will say, oh, people are cut off there. You're not cut off from anything. You're connected to everything. It is the incubation space before the soul incarnates into the physical body, represented by the first house. I saw this spiritual TikToker. He was a dude. So of course a lot of people listened, because, you know, you got to have a willy to get attention, right? You know, or be seen as an expert, unless you have cute little titties. But anyway, sorry, I get frustrated. But he was saying, oh, there's so much energy in Aquarius and Pisces and it's all outside of ourselves. And I was like, bruh, please. 11th house, Aquarius, is humanity, okay? It is not outside of ourselves. It is the sign that governs humanity. And the 12th house is our connection with the universe. It is our beingness as the universe in a human body, okay? In a human body. It's our connection. It's our silver cord. Outside of ourselves, no, we're beside ourselves when we don't connect to that. And everybody does. There's no judgment. The universe honestly doesn't judge shit. It makes no sense to judge anything. If it's all encompassing, okay, why would it judge anything? That's petty. Judgment comes from a petty space. Why would the universe judge? Even the only reason we judge is because we're in a dense physical reality, and that's part of our experience. Okay? Aquarius is not outside of ourselves. It's the flip side. I wrote about this in Patreon for the Moon and Leo forecast, the difference between the ego in Leo and the ego in Aquarius. Remember, astrology is about polarities. It's not about duality. It's about polarities. And so there's a pole of experience that each sign has. They have a pair. They're not opposites as in combatants. It's the same energy expressed at different ends of the extremes. So the Leo energy ego is about me. The Aquarius is about us. Okay? And we often don't reach the higher ego and say, oh, we are not, like the age of reason was very governed by Aquarian energy, right? And so that was dominionism, right? And the age of reason, and man is supreme, and we are here to govern the planet. Which was such bullshit. Instead of recognizing that we're part of a big organism, and we're just like cells in that organism. The planet is one breathing, living entity. And to assume superiority is ridiculous, right? So, yeah. Exactly. Same nature, different expression. Exactly. Yeah, sister signs, the only reason I'm not fond of that is I'd like us to actually use the word polarity. Because we've kind of dumbed things down over the last 30 years, and I'd like people to elevate their minds just a little bit. I get it, there's sister signs, but to me that's so new agey. And, I think we can do better. But yeah, they're paired. They're paired up. But honestly, it's also kind of like often those opposite signs, or the polarities make the best relationships. So sister signs also seems, my darting mind goes there, right? So thank you. Appreciate that. It's your birthday today. Happy birthday. Full moon starts in about an hour and a half or so. Yeah, I bet. Right, sister wives. Exactly, right? Same thing. Yeah. And I don't even watch that stuff because I don't like to promote it. Adults who are in consenting relationships, that's their business. I just think that a lot of times social and cultural conditioning kind of rob us of our free will, and that we kind of have to have a framework to unpack things so that we can exercise our free will. So, yeah. Thank you, Chris. But yeah. So with this moon, it might be a little crunchy for you because it is bringing things up to release, and to have it come out. So you might feel teary, or you might feel tired, or you might feel like, fuck it, you want to give up. Don't give up on you, okay? Sometimes something's got to give, but don't ever let that be you, okay? You are so much more precious than you know, okay? I know it can be hard. I do. I've been there. When your heart just literally aches. But if you can take good deep breaths and sometimes just have that good cry. Just like when you're little and you have a good cry and then out you go. And then sleep. And let the universe do its work and wake up fulfilled. So instead of focusing on what you want to release, focus on what you want to have come in. Okay? Because nature hates a vacuum. It's always going to fill up what's empty. Okay? So you want to be very deliberate in that. Ascaris, hey babe. Yeah. You've been feeling crunchy? Oh, I'm so glad they help, honey. Yeah, the waterworks. Yeah, they came here too. So there is a collective pain. We're seeing a lot of things happen because, the Jenga tower has to go over. That's going to happen. And it brings up, we're hearing a lot of pain stories around, so except for a very small minority of people globally, everybody has been harmed through society and culture, through hierarchy and dominance and control. And instead of having competitions amongst ourselves for who's been hurt the worst by whom, it might be looking at where the agents of oppression actually are and not being the agent of oppression on their behalf towards ourselves. So when you're critical of yourself, when you speak poorly to yourself, when you allow the societal and cultural mechanisms designed to keep you small, when you let those keep going inside of you, you're doing their job. And yeah, you might be the black sheep in your family because maybe your family is so programmed. And I'm not saying leave them. I'm not saying don't love them, but don't expect them to deprogram. Don't expect them to be different than they are. If it's kind of like, it's a polarity. They want you to be different. You want them to be different. And you're never going to be able to have a conversation, right? Right? I often speak a universal message, so if you're picking up things from your guides, they might be using this. You need to be good with you and be gentle with you. Okay? And when you're gentle with you and when you love you, when you find your power, and love isn't romance. Love is acceptance. When you can look in the mirror and just go, that's me. You don't have to say you're powerful or you're beautiful or you're shiny or whatever you're telling yourself last week, this week, but just looking and saying, hey, that's me. I'm here. I'm right here. I exist. Nothing can truly permeate that kind of self-acceptance. And the most radical thing you can do right now is love yourself, is accept yourself. I don't care where you came from. I don't care what happened to you. I don't care how bad the trauma was or for how long it happened. They never got the real part of you. Okay? Your soul doesn't get tarnished. Your soul does not get damaged. Your soul is impervious. We come from perfection. We're here to spiritualize matter. And isn't it fucking convenient that for several thousand years, we have been trained to believe the opposite, that we are being punished by being here and that we need to go off this planet and have a good afterlife. How convenient. Right? We are here to spiritualize matter. What if being in these flawed and fallible bodies is the point? Right? So it's really hard to control people who know their value. Because I think we're seeing that a lot with President Zelensky. He's really, really up against it. And he's watching terrible, terrible things happen to his people. You can see it in his eyes. It's wearing on him. But he has a lot of support, right? Globally, that amount of energy is really useful, especially given his chart, okay? I did a video about it. It's pinned on my page, so if you want to watch it. And I use that as an illustration because he's from a marginalized population in his own country. But he's gathering the admiration and of other people because he's holding firm. It is hard. Like, even if Russia ran it over if they wouldn't win because of that. Okay? And they won't, because I looked at their transits. But the same goes for you. Okay? The more you empower yourself, the more you don't have to start big. That's the big mistake with affirmations. We often start way far out from where we're ready to be. But if you can just say, you know what? I'm okay. I think I'm okay. I may not be great. I may not be the worst. I think I'm pretty good. Let's get into a neutral space. That's a powerful place to be. From a neutral space, you can move anywhere. I'm pretty okay. You know, I don't know everything, but I know I can learn. If I don't know something, I know how to figure it out. And if I don't know how to figure it out, I know how to ask someone how to figure it out. Well, by God, you just empowered yourself. Instead of, well, I'm stupid, I don't know. Oh, that doesn't help. And yeah, you may have been surrounded by critics. You may have been surrounded by people who told you were dumb, useless, not worth anybody's time. You might have been treated like shit. You could have been beaten and broken and abused. Yeah. But it doesn't make you worthless, and you're not alone. I hold the secrets of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Thousands. I don't talk about my readings. I don't talk about my clients because nothing's off the table. But each one of those people is beautiful. Each one of those people has an untarnished soul. Each one of them is sacred. And so many have been through so much, because isn't it convenient to disempower the very people who are here to spiritualize matter? Isn't it a beautiful distraction from their worth and their job to make them believe they're worthless? And I consider it an honor to empower people, to help them see the beauty in them. All of those astrologers who are like, well, you have to show the dark side. No, people have seen the dark side. Thanks. I can show where people can change the way they express their energy. I can say, hey, you know, that's not really working for you. You know what will? It's not magical thinking to know you're worth more than you've been told you're worth. You're not just a pair of breeding hips. You're not just a pair of strong arms. You're not just here to make money. You're not just here to flip on the light switch and be the person to turn it off when you walk out the door. You're not here to sit in traffic. You're not here to do meaningless tasks. You're here to spiritualize matter. Every single one of you. You logically know this? Oh, absolutely. That's one of the things that I'm going to teach in the mystery school, is how to safely release the emotions in the body. Yeah, that's how I healed. I did a technique called body electronics for 14 years, and I've amended it to make it less intense and more fluid. But yeah, you can heal a lot faster than you think. The only thing that held me up was there wasn't enough information quite on neuroscience in the brain. But my hypothesis as a 15-year-old in the 1980s was, it doesn't matter what happened to me. I have to be able to heal. It's not organic. It happened outside of me. So what, if I break my arm, we can heal it. Why would trauma be forever damage? Why would it be permanent? You know, we get told a lot of untruths to keep us small. And finding the real truth is an inside job. I can't even tell you what the real truth is, except that I know you're valuable. I don't know all of your value. Only you can know all of your value. I can't know your truth for you, but I can help you find it. I'm never going to tell you what to do. I'll tell you what I might do in your shoes, but even then it doesn't mean it's an accurate thing. You've got to find that for you. I just show frameworks. We've been told for so long that other people know better, but really your soul knows the way for you. It really does, but we get so many distractions. It's hard to hear that really still voice. But yeah. Yeah, crying at random things that upset you. It isn't fun. Thank you, Oscars. You've been feeling pretty depressed recently. Oh, you got a new kitten. You know, I think that's one of the best ways to come back to ourselves is to love something else. You can use plants to do that. You can use animals to do that. That's why I named my plants. I learned to do that when I was just after my Saturn return. I would name my plants, and then I would tend to them. It's a very soothing activity. So we have Tammy the tangerine and Violet the purple sweet potato and Mindy and Mark the mint. You got to name your plants. And I got Malcolm, so who's sleeping right now. But yeah. Got 2 dogs and a bunny, and cats are growing an olive tree. Ooh, I love that. Yeah, caring for the cat. Yeah. And you know, the way we tend to others says a lot about the way we need to be loved. So one of the ways I play dirty pool with mamas is I say, hey, how would you talk to your child, or how would you treat your child? You know, and they're like, well, I'd pick him up and give him a hug. And then why are you beating yourself up? If you would tend to your child tenderly, why are you being cruel to yourself? Because your children aren't going to necessarily not observe that. They'll probably observe that and take that on as much as we'd like to think they don't, you know. And the same goes with other things. So yeah, getting your cat, all because it's true, and it's just about opening up to love yourself. And it's so nice. One of the things we can do is just rub our heart center. And just rub it. Make it a little bit warm, not hard. Just soothe it. You know, this full moon is very healing. And you don't have to work or go deep. That trine from the moon to Pluto can easily just dissolve some of the barriers. It may not get everything. I mean, life's short, but it's long enough that you're going to get magical moments where everything goes. You got to do a little bit of the work. But we can also let the universe have at it. And we've all arranged to be on this planet at this time and incarnated for these moments. And so allowing that which needs to be released to release. And then bring in what you want to have in its stead, and be deliberate in that. I want to feel at ease in my body. I want to know my value, myself, without outside external validation. I want to be able to take a compliment. I want to know when somebody compliments me, I want to know that it's the truth. You know, I want to feel that truth all the way through me. I want to feel confident, for real. I want to know what I'm capable of in all the best ways. I want to feel my talents for real. I want to have a clear sense of direction. I want to know what I want. That was one of mine. When people say, what do you want? I didn't know. I had spent so long wanting what was good for other people. I had left myself out of that picture. So figuring out what did I want. So I, one time, manifested knowing what I wanted. I'm like, you know what? Before I wish for anything, why don't I try to work on being really clear about knowing what I want, that it's what I want. It took a minute, but it was really kind of worth it, you know? So yeah. Did I ever feel like I wasn't meant to be here? Well, I don't believe in accidents. So I can tell you there were times I didn't want to be here. And there were times I have always argued with God, the universe, the goddess, whatever you want to call it. I have some spiritual mentors who used to call me quite precocious because I have no problem saying, look, you asshole, why the hell am I here? I came from a very traumatic background, so there was a lot of times I didn't want to be on the planet. And yet I was never really allowed to give up. The way I'm made, I didn't allow me to give up, right? And sometimes it just plain hurts. But the hurt is the resistance, okay? On one hand, you do know it's supposed to be better than it is. You know, you can just want a nice life. You just want, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but God, it doesn't have to hurt so much, right? Yeah. And that hurt is like the fighting. It's when you think there's this normative experience. This is what normal people are, right? I just want a normal life. Have you really taken a look at normal? Have you really taken a look at normal? You may not want it. Okay. A lot of people living normal lives are kind of zombified. You know, they're anesthetized. They zone out in traffic. They zone out in the office. They zone out when they get home. They turn on the boob tube or whatever. They're not really living. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Embrace the weird. Exactly. Normal is boring. That was a 7-Up commercial way back in the day. Yeah, they are. And so, but at the same time, if you don't conform to that and you're considered the weirdo and you're isolated or ostracized or called a freak or whatever, that's hard. Especially when you haven't found your people yet, right? It can be really hard. I used to get told, like, by people I cared about. Okay, these were people I was related to. These were people I cared about. And it stung. Okay, so I get the black sheep thing. And it'd be like, well, you know you're difficult to live with. How the fuck am I difficult to live with? Right? Honestly, I'm really, really not. I'm really, really not. You know, and I knew it wasn't true. That's why it hurt. These were people that were supposed to be somewhat on the same page. And obviously we're not. Now, that was obviously a reflection of them and not on me. And it wasn't hard to come to that conclusion, right? But it hurt at the time. I was like, wow, okay. You know, you're hard to live with. Because I'm not living in apathy and I have feelings. Okay. Because I don't tune out on the boob tube and I look at life because I wasn't willing to let the unacceptable go. I guess I was fucking awake. You guys think it was hard waking up in 2020? Try being awake in 1972. I was 3. It really sucked. So yeah, I wanted to give up a whole lot and couldn't. And every time I wanted to give up, something would happen. You know, like our souls kind of lead us on a merry run, you know, merry quest. Because just the right person would show up or just the right event would happen or there'd just be enough. Like the breadcrumbs in Hansel and Gretel. There was just enough, you know. And then one day I made my life the way I wanted it. And even when 2020 happened, I didn't even feel guilty because I've had my own shit show. And I was like, hey, my life's getting good. The world's falling apart. Okay, whatever. I have my nice life. I'm okay with it. I feel bad, but I have a nice life. And I feel good about that. So I was like, now I'm in a position I can help other people. It's perfect timing, you know. And my nice life is pretty simple. It's actually kind of pitifully simple because I didn't care about stuff. I didn't care about living in the lap of luxury. I wanted nice things, a decent place to live, room to grow some plants, place for my dog, and peace. And a place to just grow and be happy. That's it. Happiness is an inside job. I've learned to be happy in crazy circumstances. Just wanted my own little sweet pad, and I got it. With a cool chair. And to be able to decorate any way I want. No compromises. That's a pretty cool thing. It doesn't have to be elaborate. I'm not talking prosperity gospel. I'm talking about living a good life and feeling good about yourself on the inside and being able to go to bed at night and being able to sleep and sleep well and have good dreams. That's pretty remarkable. Because there was a time I couldn't sleep because I was afraid of sleeping because of the dreams. So, but everything leads us right along the path. Everything. Our souls take advantage of every experience to get us this way. Get us this way. Yeah. Yeah. A happy, cozy life. Happy, cozy. But yeah. Yep. Exactly. Security, love, and health. Exactly. There you are, Shelby. Yeah. What human design type am I? I believe I'm a manifesting generator. But yeah. You got to the live. Hey, Jen. I'll probably put this one up on YouTube. So, especially now that we've got the wonderful bot Jennifer has been working on, Moocat. She's, or Moojen, yeah. There you go. My thing with human design is it's interesting. I haven't studied it enough to speak on it. I think it's a little predeterminate. And I think we need to learn how to use our free will. That's why I created a system for people to figure out their own. So it's just a framework. It's not a diagnostic tool. And I think it's really... That is you, Moocat. Hey, you. Making their cool bot work and getting the webhooks done so that when I post to YouTube, it posts onto the Discord. You know, it's not hard to click that copy link and paste it in, but that was really nice not to have to because it still takes time. So, mwah, thank you, thank you, thank you. I was so tickled. I was like, oh my God, it's one less thing I have to do. Because I know, it sounds like a really simple thing. Oh, well, you just click the link and you share. Yeah, but it's one more thing. So I already have to fill out the description. I have to fill out everything. So it's one less thing I have to do. Same with the bot. The bot is going great, which if you guys are in the Discord, we have the new bot and Jen is doing some fun stuff with that. When we can do even little tarot draws with it right now. So we've been playing with the bot. So... yeah, it wasn't very nice to me. Basically told you, hang on, let me check this, that you're easily abused. Yeah, you knew that. Yeah, I see, that's one of my issues with bad astrology and predetermined astrology and any kind of predetermined, because just because you have markers that show you have or could have experienced that, there are ways to work with that energy to change how it expresses, because energy expresses in a multitude of ways, okay? So from our social cultural conditioning, if we just stay in that programming, that's where those self-determinate systems work. So the more predeterminate systems, the more fated oriented astrology or human design or any kind of divinatory, or that's for people who are like entrenched in their social cultural programming and patterns. Now, as you start to self-actualize, the bandwidth, it widens, and there's different layers and levels to how we express, and we all express in many different levels, all in the same day. You can go from being highly reactive and very instinctual, very primal, to socially, culturally conditioned, to very self-actualized, which doesn't mean you don't follow social and cultural rules. It means you're doing it because you decide you do it, not just on a default. And so that's part of the mystery school, is learning that about yourself. And it's really non-dramatic, and it's just you'll have a lot of aha moments, but it took many years to design that. This is the thing I keep talking about that I can get my doctorate in. And I actually, I'm just cleaning up the slides to get them to read us so she can do the graphic design changes on the slides. I kind of hid the metaphysical side, so I could gain more academic credence. Because at one point, getting that PhD was just really important to me. It's not as much now. I'm delaying it because I want to put this out into the world. I just think it's time and it's really important. So yeah. You haven't seen the bot yet? Go to the very bottom of the chat, and there's the bot playroom. I have a Libra moon and I can't stand it. I can't stand the idea of predeterminism. Libra isn't about being indecisive. Libra is about the weighing and measuring things. It's not about being balanced. It's about finding the balance. As Libra moons, we're almost never balanced. You know, it's finding the balance. Just like a ballerina doesn't stay on point statically. They move their feet a lot to stay balanced. So it's the weighing and measuring of the scales. You know, yeah, right? Yeah. No, like I told you, the hardest thing I ever had to do was not learn what I wanted, because I'd spent a lifetime of making my wants being the wants of other people, because we are pleased when other people are happy. We love to see other people happy. You know, I love gift giving. You know, I love watching people, you know, get something I know they're going to love and that I picked out just the right thing. That's part of the gift to me. But it's also okay to include ourselves in the picture of everyone. Otherwise, it's imbalanced. Yeah. Right? Exactly, right? Yeah. Constantly switching up, yeah. No, I don't think Libra suns are more likely to find the balance. I don't think any of the Libra energy is more likely than another placement to find the balance. It depends on what else is going on in the chart. Yeah. I found 0 clinical markers, which is about as balanced as it can get. It just took a long road to get there. You know. But no, I've met plenty of Libra suns who didn't find the balance. So it depends a lot on the chart. Not one particular placement will be more likely than another. It depends on what else is going on in the chart. So, and I just chuckle because, of course, Libra Moon, I love Libras. So, but yeah. I always love when people are like, well, they're balanced. I'm like, no, they're weighing and measuring. When they get to balance, it feels really, really good. Yeah. It's important to know exact as much as possible, or you can have, like, if you have a ballpark, then a professional astrologer can rectify it. Aw, thank you. Yeah, that's about your mom. Yeah. That's the part, finding, yeah, feeding your soul at the table. I love that, Amber. Yeah, you're Libra. Yeah, I got that Libra moon. Yeah, yep, some of the most brutal people, absolutely. Yeah, it can be. Yo, how you doing, Bren? How's it going? Yeah. Well, I know how hard it can be with those swings. I used to go through it too. Oh, you got your wisdom teeth pulled. Okay, well, be careful about dry sockets. Follow all the instructions. Don't play with it. You're welcome. You were adopted by your stepfather and birth time is only a ballpark. Okay. Yeah, I rectify people. Yeah, a good astrologer can rectify, but not everybody who calls them slave. You probably want, and this isn't a diss to younger astrologers. I'm sure there's some younger astrologers who can if they've properly studied with a mentor. But odds are, you probably want somebody in their 40s at least, somebody who's been at it 10, 15 years, because rectification is a really complex thing. Hey. You've been meaning to ask. Go for it. You missed the Libra chatter. We were just talking about Libra being about finding the balance, not being balance itself. Nice. I think it is March 31st is the last day you can sign up for my transit class. Which, by the way, guys, if you want to, I'm starting a 10-week transit class. It's astrological transits for beginners on April 2nd. And the code for that to save 50% is early bird, each word capitalized. It's pretty scammy. Yeah. It depends on who's doing it, Bren. I don't really talk about personal planets too much. It's linked in my bio. Hang on a second. I'm trying to see. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. Hang on. I'm trying to find. Here we go. It's early bird saves you 50% on the transit class. And you can find that through the link in my bio. It'll take you to, like, if you go to my readings page, if you click on any of the readings, it takes you to my website. Okay. And then it's under the classes. So early bird saves you 50%. It's a 10-week class. You get access to a private Discord. It's a lot of fun. You know, it's a lot of fun. You learn a lot. I'm like a freaking fire hose, and the recordings go into the Discord. And then I keep the Discord open after the 10 weeks for people to get together and study and refer back to the material. Yeah. So. Well, you have to do your due diligence, Bren. You know, again, human design is not something I've studied enough to even claim any kind of expertise. I am dubious about the predeterministic nature of it. I'm not fond of that, but not every human design person is predeterminist. So, like, Mystic Esther does human design. Now, she hasn't been on TikTok all that much, but I actually speak with her in real life. She has some good interpretations, so yeah. Yeah, I'm not convinced I like the use they have of astrology. That doesn't necessarily win me over. So, just because it's kind of like when I was a young astrologer and people used to try to validate astrology by using the Bible, and it'd be like, that's not even a primary source or a valid work. It cannot validate something. So, you know, it's not a document you want to try to use to validate anything, because, well, it's just not a primary source document. So, yeah. Any idea? Well, the first thing you want to do is stop saying my fear, because you've owned it now and it won't leave you because, you know, you've got it on a leash. So I would just focus on what you do want. Letting go means taking your attention and turning it to what you want instead of holding on to the fear. Do you see the difference? It's a very simple switch. It's not as complex as we'd like to believe. You're not pushing the fear away. You're not doing anything to it. You can just say, hey, you know what? Go ahead, fear. You can sit right there. Thanks very much. Thank you. Thank you. You served a purpose. I appreciate you. All right, what do I want? Let's see. I want a little bit of that and a little bit of that. Ooh, I like that. And I'm going to focus over here. It's not a denial of that. You've just put that in its place. And eventually, it's kind of like an umbilical cord. If you clamp that little thing, it shrivels up and falls off and becomes a little belly button. Same thing. When we put our attention onto what we want, our attachment to that fear, it's just like cutting the umbilical cord. And then it's not, yeah. And it's less resistance. And that's some of the stuff that'll be taught in the mystery school as well. So I'm super excited about the mystery school, which means I have to go to bed pretty quick because I have more work to work on for it. Actually, why is that hard? There's a scientific reason for that. The University of Washington did a study on that, I believe in like 2019, 2020. And what they found is it really was the stimulation by the light and the gravitational pull of the moon. And they think it was an evolutionary adaptation because about 80% of the people in the sleep study had a hard time sleeping during the full moon periods. And they think it was evolutionary because there's some animals that are nocturnal. There are species of flower or fruit that are available. So there we go. That's why. So that's the scientific reason. You know, solar and lunar transits are causal. You know, the other planets, I'm sure they're harder to prove causality, but with the solar and lunar transits, they are causal because the sun and the moon actually have a physical impact on the planet Earth. I'm sure that the gravitational interaction of the other planets, I'm sure has a subtle influence of some kind. We just haven't proved it. They haven't studied it. But, you know, my horoscopes are pretty damn accurate, and I've been batting a very high average. So, you know, just saying. I've been working, you know, over the last couple of years, really since 2018, I was really starting to work on my directional interpretations for seismic activity because I knew this year and next year, the seismic activity is going to kind of increase worldwide, and everybody I love lives in a seismic area. So I would, you know, when people are like, what about California? I'm like, my daughter and I live in California. Trust me, I'm looking. If I see problems, I'll let you know. What about the Pacific Northwest? My son lives in Washington State. I'll let you know. These are the places I'm actively looking at. I have relatives in Alaska. I look there too. I have family in Asia. I look there too. I am looking at all known seismic regions for seismic activity. So I've been studying the transits versus, you know, past events and going back a couple hundred years and just correlating things. And so I've been getting pretty good at the directional. I'm well over 65% on the directional and the dates, which is pretty good. That wasn't my speciality. Like when I was a young astrologer, that was not my focus. So it's a focus I picked up over the last couple of years, just applying everything else I do, mundane astrology wise, putting it into that, just because I think we're going to need it. No, California is not going to fall into the sea. It doesn't work that way. Geology doesn't work that way. So, you know, science is a thing. We can be spiritual and understand that science is real. It's a thing. You don't even have to believe in it for it to be real. I have predicted earthquakes. That's what I was just talking about. I think the comments are slow, so I'll take my snark back. But yeah, I've got like a 65 to 70% accurate rate on not just the date of earthquakes, but the directions. So I've been pinpointing where they're happening, and in between 65 and 70% accurate there. I've been about 80% accurate on the days. So yeah. Yeah, go. I should just make like an earthquake playlist and go back and just put all the times I've called the earthquakes. So, yeah. Yeah, the interior earthquakes and the exterior, the offshore was in Japan. That was a little more north than what I was seeing, but this, yeah, weather too. The weather is easier for me to call. The weather is easy with the transits. Seismic activity is a lot harder. Weather is pretty easy to call. So, and weather is one of those things you learn as a mundane astrologer, you know. So after I got really good at natal astrology, I went into esoteric astrology and then paired it with mundane. So, yeah. Yeah, and the thing is our news gets so choked online. Have you noticed that it's hard to look up news stories? It's just a pain in the ass. I've got a subscription to Reuters because it's just easier now. Because after I do my predictions, then I go look up headlines, and so like I'd missed the flooding in Alabama and stuff, so yeah. Right. I used to have deja vu a lot as a kid. Every once in a while, I'll have it now. It's not as frequent as when I was like a teenager. When I was a teenager, I had deja vu a lot. So, yeah, you always want to pay attention to your intuition. Yeah, sleep well, Amber. Breathe deep. You've got this. Hey, Justine. Yeah. You had deja vu playing cards. That's cool. Yeah. Speaking of sleep, I am wiped out. This Virgo moon has been crunching on me. I've had it go over, with the sun has been on my north node, and this full moon is just out, well, it's within orb of my Pluto and my south node, so it's not super crunchy. I'm just tired, so I know I'm calibrating. You know what I'm saying? But it's not a surprise because I'm trying to get ready. I realized it was like making room for when that Jupiter-Neptune conjunction happens on my north node, and opposite my Pluto. That's when we're hoping to have the mystery school open. And so, rising up into one's purpose. It's a pretty good year to do that, really. I can't think of a better one. So, it's kind of cool. You're so welcome. I'm glad you found it helpful. It's really lovely to know that this resonates with people and helps you. Yeah. Yeah, I don't do personal readings in my lives. Yeah. The mystery school hasn't opened yet. Yeah, we'll open in April. And it'll have a revolving admissions process. So I'll announce when it's time to sign up. And it'll work through Patreon. But I haven't set that part up yet because we're still working on getting everything together. So soon. I'm excited. Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Mwah.